Hey guys. Good morning, or actually good afternoon. I'm not used to working in the afternoon. I'm usually finished teaching at 12. But anyhow, I hope you guys are having a good day. In the recent past, I finished lesson 1.1 and 1.2. And today what I want to do is take questions, but I want to let you know we're going to have an exam on Tuesday morning. So I will show you how to get in the exam in my HRW. And it's important that you practice the evaluate in the assignment sections so that you know how to input results into the exam. So let's talk about the assignments first. Lesson 1.1 is due tonight at 11:59 p.m. You should be done with it. Lesson 1.2 is due at 11:59 on Friday night. And then the exam 1.1 and 1.2 is at 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Do not miss the exam because if you do miss it, you will get a 0. So no one will take an exam later. They're really hard for me to write. I do have to mix up the problems, the distractors. Everybody has a unique test. And so you must take that exam on Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. So I'll show you how to get there. You'll go into my HRW, you'll take the exam, and it will shut off at 9 o'clock. After that, you have 15 minutes to take pictures of your scratch paper and submit them to Google Classroom. And I'll have this all written out. You must take pictures of your scratch paper because that's the only way you can justify your work. If I do not receive your scratch paper, you will get a 0 for the exam, okay? Because you have to justify your work. So even though I don't look at your assignments, I do look at the scratch paper for the exams because I do have to make sure you are actually doing the work. Now, if there's a problem that doesn't require work, I know that. If there's a 3-step problem, you have to show your work and you have to write the original problem. You have to work vertically and circle your answers because that's why we've been practicing it in the assignments. All right, you want to pay attention to the review in lesson 1.2 because there's a really good review in there of lesson 1.1 and 1.2. Okay, let me just show you my HRW real quick because I want to show you how you're going to see the exam. So let me share my screen with you. I don't have it in Google Classroom yet, but I will share that also. All right, bear with me. Somebody is not muted, and I need you to mute, please. I don't know if that's going to get me there. It's not going to get me there. Hold on. You're not going to have to go into my HRW this way because I'll have it set up in Google Classroom. But since I don't have it set up in Google Classroom, I'm going to enter from ClassLink. I'm going to sign in with Google. Now, like I said, I'll have this all set up in Google Classroom. You won't have to go through all this. I'm going to sign on with my school account. Eric, can you mute, please? Okay. So in my HRW, this is what you're going to see. So you see period 5 right here. So you're going to see period 5, and this is where you're going to take the exam. Now, the reason why you don't see it is because it hasn't been opened yet. So it will be open at 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning, and you will take the exam. So this is what it's going to look like when you get into my HRW. When I put the information in Google Classroom, I'll share that with you also. So I'll show you how easy it's going to be because I'm going to have all the directions in there. Now today, after I answer questions, we're going to work in groups, and period 1 decided that they were going to leave the group 10 minutes early and work on their own or go eat breakfast or go on a date or something. I don't know, but I marked them all absent. So I'm just letting you know that this class ends at 2:05 and you are to work until 2:05. If you leave early, I'm going to mark you absent. So it's important to follow the leader. When I tell you to do something, make sure you're doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. It's not your show, it's mine. So make sure that we're all on the same page following directions. Also, in a minute, I'm going to take questions, and it would be the more questions you ask, the more test-wise you're going to be, because I'm going to tell you straight out, study for this, study for that, don't do this, don't do that. So the more questions you ask, the better you're going to be. And also, I noticed in the groups that there's a lot of background noise. I never said this was going to be easy, but what I need you to do is talk to your parents because they don't understand. Your parents do not understand what's going on. So you need to explain to them, Mom, when I'm in class, Grandma, when I'm in class, your parent or guardian, when I'm in class, I need to have a quiet place. So I need it quiet as much as possible. And I will also be explaining this to the parents on back to school night. They don't understand that all these distractions could be causing you problems. So we want to try to eliminate the background noise as much as possible because we want to simulate a classroom as much as possible. Okay? So you might have to explain that to them. If you have 20 siblings, that may not be possible, but we're going to try to get you in a quiet spot. You guys have an advantage of being in 5th period because I wrote a bunch of notes, but somebody said, hey, Miss Birch, when I was looking at the answers, they're different than what you did. Don't pay attention to the book. Okay, just do what I do. Do what I do in my notes. If the book does something different, it's either wrong or it's some funky way that they did it. I don't know. But don't think that you're wrong. Okay, check with me or check my answers. There's a lot of wrong answers in the book and there's a lot of funky answers in the book. So try not to think that the book is the Bible because it's not. All right, so for now, would anyone like me to work any problems or does anybody have any questions about anything?
Could we work on number 10, please?
Number 10 in the book work?
Yes.
All right, they're giving you a linear function. So it's 3/2 x plus 1. And they're telling you the domain. And I'm not going to use interval. I'm going to use interval notation. X greater than -2. X greater than -2 would be x greater than -2. So that's x greater than -2, right? Now, we're still in lesson 1-1, so they're asking you to use the same notation as the book, so whatever. Eventually, we'll be using only interval notation. So the first thing we're going to do is graph the line. So the slope is up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2. Remember that the slope is the rise, which is the y's, over the run. So it's up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2, or down 3, left 2, down 3, left 2. And the y-intercept is 0, up 1, which is always on the y-axis. So you start at 0, up 1, and I'm going to go up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2. I kind of ran out of room. So now I'm going to go down 3, left 2, and draw my line. Now, this is a restricted domain, right? So this says that the graph only exists to the right of -2. So that means open, and everything on the left needs to be erased. Now, I did not say down. I said everything to the left needs to be erased. So doesn't this represent x is greater than -2? X is greater than -2? So now they want to know the range. So where does the range exist? Well, doesn't it exist up from -2? So wouldn't that just be y is greater than -2? And if we wanted to write it in set notation, it would be y, all y such that y is greater than -2. And I know that the book wrote this a different way, but like I said, I don't know why the book's doing a lot of weird stuff. I've never seen it in all the classes I've taken. I've never seen it written like the book. And so I'm not going to write it like the book. I'm going to write it like most human beings are going to write it. Most human beings are going to write it like this. Okay, if you wanted to write this in interval notation, the interval notation would be open on -2 up forever. So there's your 3 notations: inequality notation, set notation, and interval notation. All right, go ahead. Does anybody have a question?
So the reason why it's open is because there's nothing like stopping it.
The reason why it's open is because this inequality does not have an equal to it. It's not this. So if it was this, you would have to close it. But since this is saying that it's strictly greater, and the parenthesis means strictly greater than -2, it can't hit -2. Okay, other questions?
So is there going to be zeros?
Yes. Anything that was in your assignment will be, are you talking about zeros on this problem? Or just zeros in general?
Zeros in this problem.
In 1.2, I talked about the characteristics of graphs. So yes, zeros will be in 1.2, not 1.1. Okay, anybody want to ask me about this problem before I erase it?
Can you explain the range a bit more? I get the graph and I get the domain, but I'm confused on the range.
Okay. Do you get the domain that that it only exists to the right of 2, -2?
Yes.
Okay, when you talk about the range, you're talking about where does the graph exist up and down. So see my arm?
Yes.
So the graph does not exist here. The graph let me move this down. So the graph does not exist down here. The graph starts existing where?
At -2.
Right. And it's from -2 up forever. So the domain is open on -2 right forever, and the range is on -2 up forever. So for you guys, if you have a pen or a pencil, you can hold your pencil, like go like this along the x-axis. So this shows you the domain. Nothing, 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 open on -2 to infinity is the domain. Nothing, 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 open on -2 to infinity for the range. Does that help or no? Does that help? Somebody. Hello, I'm hearing nothing.
Yeah, it does help.
Okay. Other questions? Any other questions?
So that's all we have to do for 1.1. Just have the range and domain.
For 1.1, there's a lot of things. You have to be able to do all of those problems that I assigned. You have to do problems like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Number 5, you need the 3 notations, domain and range. You need the in behavior. You need to be able to give the domain and range of a restricted domain. So that's what you need to know for 1.1. You need to know all the problems that I assigned for 1.1 except those distance problems. The one that I did about Jocelyn and the jogging, the bicycle and the elevator, you don't need to know those, but you need to know how to do all the other problems for 1.1. All right, does anybody want to ask me any questions about 1.1 or 1.2?
Can we do number 8?
All right, number 8 has a graph that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and -4, a solid point. And there's a solid point at 4. And then it looks like this. So there's no arrows. So they say the directions on the previous page, it says write the domain and range in the 3 notations and state the in behavior. So that's what you have to do. So we have to write the domain and range in all 3 notations. So what's the domain?
-4 to 4.
Yep. So for for inequality notation, you're writing what? You're writing x is greater than -4 and x is less than 4. For set notation, it's x such that x is less than 4. That should be less than or equal to, right? Those should have equals in them. And in interval notation, it should be closed on -4 to 4. So that's the domain. The range is where the graph exists up and down. So where does this graph exist up and down? It exists from 0 to 4. So the inequality would be y less than or equal to 4 and greater than or equal to 0. And the set notation would be y such that y is less than or equal to 4 and greater than or equal to 0. And the interval notation would be closed on 0 to 4. Okay, and finally, the last thing is the in behavior. As x goes to the right forever, there is no in behavior. As x goes to the left forever, what's the function doing? Stopping. So there's none. So there's a problem on the test exactly like this. So make sure you know what you're doing, the 3 notations and the in behavior. So domain and range in 3 notations and the in behavior. Do you guys want to ask me about anything? Okay, I want to say something then. I made a mistake. I think I caught it with you. It was with this zigzag problem. So this zigzag problem from the other day, I made a mistake in my other class. I said there's a minimum of -1 at x equals 0. That's not true because this does not change direction. This is not a minimum. It has to change direction to be a minimum. So this, in my example, that should not be x equals 2 there. I mean, x equals 0. Shouldn't be x equals, I erased it. There's no minimum of -1 at x equals 0. Okay, go ahead. Does anybody want to ask me about this? Who asked for this? Did you understand what I did?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions? So once again, to study for this exam on Tuesday morning, you want to do the evaluate online so that the test problems look exactly like the evaluate that I assigned online. And the thing is that working the assignment once isn't going to be enough. People think, oh, you know, I did the assignment. Well, work it again. And after you do that, work it again, and then work it again, and then work it again. The more problems you work, the more confidence you're going to have. So the more problems you work correctly, you're building your confidence. So you want to work problems over and over again. So today in the group, in the teams, and these aren't going to always stay the same. They're the same right now, but you're going to go into the teams. If you have a problem, ask. Otherwise, I want you to work problems from the assignment. So whatever, and I don't care if you worked them or not. One person pick a problem, the team do it. Another person pick a problem, the team do it. Another person pick a problem, the team do it. So whether you did it or not, you are working problems as a team and you're talking through the complications. Now, like I said, class ends at 2:05 and we are not coming back to the WebEx meeting. All right, so at 2:05, you can leave your team. And in the meantime, you can send me a remind if you need me to help or do a problem or if you have questions about something. All right, so I'm going to shut down the WebEx meeting and I want you to go to your teams and work problems. All right, okay, I will see you soon. Go ahead and leave this meeting and join your teams. Anybody want to ask me anything before I end it?